We all know about the Alabamas, Ohio States, and Georgias of the world, but how about the defending national champion North Central Cardinals? Or maybe you're a fan of the Mount Union Purple Raiders, last year's national runner-up and the program with the most wins all time. Yes, we're talking about Division III football, where small school traditions and pride runs deep. It's the level where players don't receive athletic scholarships, rather they simply play for the love of the game. Welcome into Penn State Sports Night. I'm Isaac Hallock, joined alongside Bryan Portney as we discuss another incredible football season at the D3 level and give you some insight into who can go all the way and win the Stag Bowl, which, for all of you newcomers, is the D3 championship game. So, Bryan, looking at this season overall, do you think it lived up to the hype that we saw maybe going into it?
Yeah, I mean, I would definitely say so. I mean, we were talking about some conference realignment, a lot of changes going there from Carnegie Mellon going to the Centennial Conference, kind of underperforming there. But also, John Carroll coming into the North Coast Athletic Conference from the Ohio Athletic Conference and setting up for some good matchups. And it ended up being that with, a game against DePaul where, it came down to the last 14 seconds. Nick Semptonfelter, a 4-yard pass, touchdown to win it over DePaul, which was quite the crazy game. And then you got the WIAC always eating their own. It's like the SEC of Division III, and it's because they got 4 bids into the playoffs. But especially looking forward to seeing some top teams, new top teams emerge, like the Hanover College Panthers, just as well coming into the playoffs this year.
Yeah, 40 teams in this postseason bracket. So let's talk a little bit more about some of these teams in the bracket just released. Obviously, North Central and Mount Union, those two teams, just perennial powerhouses, incredible football programs. And you have a North Central squad that the last 5 years has made it to the Stag Bowl. They've won it 3 out of those 5 years. So obviously those teams are going to be there. But you look at some of the newcomers, like Franklin and Marshall is going to be playing Eastern. Those two teams, first time both of them have ever made it to the postseason, and they get to go up against each other. So it seems like we should be seeing some pretty good stuff out of the perennial powerhouses and some of the newcomers in this year's tournament.
Yeah, and I mean, we'll definitely see, a team like Christopher Newport, a team like Salisbury. There's a lot of teams. I think there were 13 East Coast designated teams, which made for, the selection committee to have their hands full, placing 10 teams from each region in different sides of the bracket. So, I mean, there's that, and then there's obviously, Wisconsin River Falls, bursting onto the scene. I mean, you've got from perennial powerhouses all the way down to, teams like Framingham State, where they were, in a 3-team tie with the MASCAC up in Massachusetts, and some people thought Plymouth State got robbed, but, it's something like that. Yeah. And also, teams, there are some teams who thought they got robbed, like Ithaca, who just took down, top 20 Cortland. But, the Division III kind of runs on the system called the NPI, which I believe is called the National Power Index. It's all computer rankings. It's just like the pairwise in college hockey. So, the teams that are selected by the computer are the teams that are going into that 40-team field that aren't already decided by the 27 conference champions.
Yeah, and talking about that and these teams we have from newcomers to powerhouses, talk about some of the surprise teams. And the team that I'm going to throw out there is one that maybe isn't so much of a surprise in a certain respect, but only about an hour-and-a-half drive from here, the Susquehanna Riverhawks. This is a squad that played in the D3 National Semifinal last year, lost 66-0 to that Power 4 North Central team. Susquehanna this year, they're 8-2 on the season. Their 2 losses this season, Christopher Newport and Johns Hopkins, both of those teams currently ranked in the top 10. So it's a question of Susquehanna can be a surprise team if they can get over the hump and beat one of those teams. So it's kind of my take on it. Bryan, who do you have from looking at this whole season or maybe just in the postseason?
Yeah, I mean, you talked about, a surprising team that was pretty disappointing. I'll talk about another surprising team that ended up not making the field altogether, and it was the Aurora Spartans. Saw their 46-game conference win streak in the Northern Athletics Collegiate Conference. They saw it get snapped by Benedictine, of all teams, 39-38, and then they go back a couple weeks later, 54-45 shootout loss to Concordia, Wisconsin, who ended up winning the conference, which is, it's a bit disappointing to see because Aurora's been that perennial contender for years and years. And they're still, I think, going to be in some kind of postseason, one of those postseason bowls, but they are definitely not playing up to par, and a bunch of other teams like Christopher Newport is a surprising team on the other side of things because they were kind of the team that couldn't win the big game, but they just went out and won 2 of them, against Salisbury and against, Susquehanna. But it's all about, that defense. If they get that cleaned up, they had some issues going on, but, they are a good surprising team.
Yeah, and the end of the regular season, that's all in the rearview mirror. Let's talk about the Ghilardi Trophy, which is the equivalent of the D3 Heisman. So, Bryan, looking at some of the phenomenal play we've seen all across the country, the D3 level, who do you have potentially being a front runner or someone that you think is maybe even a lock to take home that trophy?
Well, I've heard a lot of Division III football pundits talk about Caleb Leha of Wisconsin River Falls, kind of the Lamar Jackson of D3 football with 875 rushing yards and I believe 13 touchdowns. And on the other side of things, 24 passing touchdowns, just 8 interceptions. But he is in the Wisconsin Intercollegiate Athletic Conference, which is kind of like the SEC of D3 football. So it's kind of like that, that ratio isn't too bad. That's, pretty much, I'd say he's pretty much a lock.
Yeah, pretty much a lot. Okay, we could say that. I got Monty Quinn, the running back here on the right side of the screen. So Monty Quinn, the running back out of Curry College. This is a guy, a senior running back, and somebody that, he tore it up on the ground, rushed for over 2,400 yards, 27 touchdowns. And mind you, D3 level, they play 10-game regular seasons rather than the 12 games that they play at the Division I level. And Quinn, he averages 243.6 yards, rushing yards per game, which is an NCAA D3 record. Also recently, earlier this season, rushed for 522 yards in a game and 7 touchdowns. At 522 yards, that was the most that any NCAA running back has ever rushed for in history. He's the first one to go over 500 yards in a win over Nichols College. So this guy, these two, it's really good options here to win the Ghilardi Trophy, but both historic seasons from both of them, and that just goes to show why D3 football is so fun. You look all across the country, see some of these smaller schools, and you can pick out some of these guys that are really tearing it up at that level.
Yeah, I got to agree with that. A lot of great players coming up, especially Mikey Maloney of North Central College, or Mount Union, I believe, is that. So a lot of great teams.
And with that, that'll do it for us. That's your look into D3 football, where small school play big games. The first round of the playoffs begins this Saturday for everyone here at Penn State Sports Night. I'm Isaac Hallock. He's Bryan Portney. Stay safe and have a great night.
Hey everybody, thanks for tuning into this edition of Penn State Sports Night.
For more content like this, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, give us a like, and follow our socials down below.
And as always, we are
Penn State Sports Night.